Have you ever been scrolling online and a post just stops you in your tracks? We are constantly swimming in messages designed to convince us of something. But have you ever really stopped to think about how they actually work? Well, today, we're going to do just that. We're opening up a kind of digital field guide to dissect a piece of persuasive media and really understand its anatomy. So let's start with this. Just look at this phrase. Oregon's economy is cratering. I want you to just take a second and notice how that makes you feel. It's not just a piece of information, is it? It's meant to land with a punch, to give you this immediate jolt of alarm, maybe even a little bit of fear. And that, right there, is the big question we're going to tackle. How can a few simple words be engineered to make you feel so much? It's not magic, it's a structure. And we're going to give you the tools, the X-ray vision, to see that structure out in the wild. Okay, so let's get our specimen on the table. We're looking at a social media post that made the rounds, and it was making some pretty huge claims about Oregon's economy. Before we do anything else, let's just get clear on what it's actually saying. So the core message is actually super clear, and it follows a classic three-step formula. First, present a massive problem, an emergency. Second, point to a single, simple cause, in this case, one political party. And third, offer the only way out, a very specific solution that, of course, the speaker is promoting. Problem, blame, solution. It's a playbook as old as time. So how does the post make that formula so convincing? This is where we get to the fun part. Let's crack open the Persuader's playbook and look at 4 specific techniques, we'll call them persuasion traps, that make this message hit so hard. First up is what's called loaded or emotive framing. This is all about word choice. The idea is to use these high-intensity, emotionally charged words to completely bypass your logical brain and go straight for the gut. It wants you to feel the threat before you even have a second to think about it. And you can see this in action right here, plain as day. The post doesn't just say policies led to job losses. No, it says they pushed jobs out. The economy isn't just weakened, it's been crippled. You feel that? Those words carry a sense of violence and aggression that more neutral language just doesn't have. Okay, trap number 2 is a big one, causal oversimplification. Look, economies are ridiculously complex, right? There are thousands of things happening at once. This technique just brushes all of that messy reality aside and pins the blame for a huge, complicated problem on one simple thing. And you know, it's really appealing because it gives us a clear bad guy and makes the solution feel so easy. And here's the perfect example from our post. The entire economic situation, with all its global and national pressures, gets boiled down to just this one thing: their tax hikes. All other factors, market trends, inflation, you name it, they just disappear. What you're left with is a super simple, very clean, but totally incomplete picture. The third trap is all about our basic human need to belong. Identity positioning is about splitting the world into 2 teams. There's an us and there's a them. The goal is to make you feel like you're part of the speaker's team, the in-group, the ones who get it, the ones who are on the right side of things. And just look at the language they use to draw that line in the sand. The in-group is we, it's families and businesses, it's common sense, all warm, relatable words. The out-group, they're just the majority party with their failed policies and mismanagement. One side feels personal and good, the other feels cold, abstract, and incompetent. And the last technique we're looking at is maybe one of the most powerful psychological tools there is: hope and threat pairing. It's a 2-punch combo. First, you present a really scary threat that kicks your fear response into high gear. Then, right when that anxiety is at its peak, you offer the one and only path to safety, the escape hatch, a path that the speaker conveniently controls. You can see this structure built perfectly right here. On one side, you have the terrifying threat. The economy is cratering, it's an emergency. Then, here comes the rescue, the hope. We can still turn this around. But, and this is the most important part, notice the condition: only if we admit the problem and start real solutions. That relief you feel is now tied directly to their proposed solution. So let's zoom out. Here's what's so crucial to understand. When we analyze this post, it's not that it's necessarily full of fake information or that it's an outright scam, but where it scores moderately high across the board is in its use of psychological exploitation and manipulative techniques. So it's not trying to lie to you exactly, it's trying to manipulate you. Okay, so we've identified all these clever little traps. But so what? why does this actually matter to you and me in our daily lives? Let's talk about the emotional fallout, the real human impact of messages that are built like this. These feelings aren't an accidental byproduct. They are the intended result. This kind of messaging is specifically designed to ramp up your anxiety, to make you more distrustful of people who think differently, and to create this false sense of panic that shuts down critical thought. It pushes you to believe there's only one right answer and to dig in deeper with your tribe, which makes finding common ground almost impossible. So what on earth are we supposed to do? We can't just unplug from modern life. The real answer is to build up our own mental defenses. So here it is. This is your critical thinking toolkit. 6 straightforward steps you can take to spot and resist this kind of manipulation. Think of this as your new mental checklist. You see a huge claim? Ask, where's the data? Notice when the words being used are trying to make you feel something instead of think something. Be really skeptical of any message that says it's this way or the highway. And most importantly, if a message is screaming at you to act now, that is your signal to do the exact opposite. Take a breath. Slow down. So now you have the feels guide. You're equipped. You have the tools to look past the surface and see the architecture underneath. So the next time you're scrolling and some post tries to grab you by the collar, what are you going to see? I have a feeling it won't just be the message, but the entire machine working behind it.